Welcome everybody, Gamer King Tario here, and today we're going to do a review of Pokemon Conquest, my first DS game. Now, Pokemon Conquest is not a traditional Pokemon game, which I love. It is a kind of a strategy game using the Pokemon name and some of the Pokemon traits in a strategy game. You are essentially a new warlord in kind of feudal Japan style area with samurai warriors, etc. And your job is to capture all 17 provinces, so you will unlock the creator Pokemon that will help save the world. As thin as that premise is, it's really irrelevant compared to what we're trying to do. This is essentially just a backdrop to be able to merge, feudal Japan, samurai warrior stuff with Pokemon, and it does a pretty good job of it. Essentially, you play Advanced Wars or Final Fantasy Tactics style grid battle, where you line up your soldiers and you fight over a gridded terrain. And you use Pokemon fight, so you have individual warriors, and the individual warriors have individual Pokemon. So in any given battle, you can have 12 different warriors with 12 different Pokemon. So you have 12 warriors with 12 special abilities, each having their own Pokemon, which can attack in a certain way. So it can lead to quite a little bit of strategy on the maps. One of the things I really enjoyed about the actual battles was how important terrain played a role in it. Some Pokemons can move on certain terrain, some can walk through magma, some can, fly, some can go through water, and this can play a huge role on the battlefield. If you have a magma, lava type level, having lava Pokemon that can walk through and able to cross rivers of lava without having to go all the way back around, or the advantage that a flying Pokemon can have flying over boulders that are blocking the way. This can play a huge advantage, and I won a couple battles where I actually had lower strength than my opponent, but my Pokemon setup was made for the actual terrain that we were fighting on, and they didn't stand a chance. So it adds another layer of thinking when trying to set up which Pokemon you want to use for battle. Beyond the actual battlefield, you have the meta game, where essentially you are running your kingdom, deciding where to expand, which new provinces to attack, and outfitting your warriors. Here you need to decide how to spend your warriors' time. Are they going to mine for gold so you can get more gold? Which Pokemon are you going to use to defend your border cities, which may be attacked? Which Pokemon are you going to level up? Where are you going to go look for new Pokemon and new warriors in caves or in farms or in fields? And all of this may sound a little daunting, especially there's 17 kingdoms. When you may, start expanding, you got 14, 15 kingdoms. It may seem a little overwhelming, but fortunately the game does a really good job of letting you to delegate your warrior's ability. So you can just pick a set of warriors in a town, and you can delegate them how you see fit, whether you want them to mine for gold, whether you want them to level up or build links with their Pokemon. And this will allow a little bit of an automated system, so you can kind of focus on the task at hand and focus more on the battles, which are really the key and enjoyable part of the game. I mentioned links with the Pokemon, and essentially what that is each warrior has a link with the Pokemon they're currently using. And as that link and bond grows stronger, the Pokemon becomes more powerful in battle. But each Pokemon cannot get up to 100%. Each warrior has their own ideal perfect Pokemon. And this gives people a chance that, the collectors out there, they can go out and seek to find each individual warrior's perfect Pokemon when you're out fighting wild Pokemon. So you can go out and collect and try to make sure that each one has their own perfect Pokemon. And that will allow the link to get up to 100% to make super powerful Pokemon. While the game's enjoyable, it's not perfect. There are a couple issues that I had with the game. First is the story isn't very compelling. It didn't, it just kind of sets the stage for the battle, and the gameplay in the first few hours is really slow. It basically stops, grinds to a complete halt every turn and just explains everything to you, and even the obvious stuff. I found this to be a really, really slow start, but once it gets going, it really gets past that. But the game does everything it can not to make you feel like you're a warmonger. You're out there taking over all these kingdoms, but that's exactly what you're doing. You are a warmonger. You are declaring war on these people, and it tries to make it seem like, they're the bad guy, or it's all in good sport, or you're trying to save the world. But, it kind of felt rather false to me. Another issue is while the strategy in the game does have some good depth to it, I wish it was a little deeper. I wish each Pokemon could have had 2 separate moves. I think that would have added a lot. It would have multiplied, the tactical factor. And instead, each Pokemon has the one individual move, and so when that that Pokemon is moving across the battlefield, you know exactly what it's going to do, and you know where it has to attack from, and what kind of spell it has. One's an AOE or one's a I wish there was just a little bit more depth to it. That would have just added a little bit more to the game as a whole. Overall, Pokemon Conquest may seem like a strange marriage of ideas, but it's a marriage that works. It does a great job of blending different strategy elements together, and anyone who's a fan of Pokemon and familiar with the Pokemon universe and the Pokemon tactics, and is a fan of grid-based strategy games such like Advanced Wars, is going to feel right at home here. And while the story may fall a little flat, the battles are engaging and they do make you think, and I can easily recommend it to anyone.